scraped the glass on 125. It's not perfectly clean, but it's pretty good. Something's having an effect on that algae growth. Let's see if I can figure out what that is. Yep, the neon tetras are multiplying. I just couldn't have the discus without their little friends. Oh yeah, and they got new filtration. Now, which one of my aquariums could possibly be this much peace lily in its 22-foot long sump? Big things going on with the 3000 now. All right, let's see. Plant pots. Water being pumped out. Swords floating. Yes, I'm gonna give it one more attempt to get these Amazon swords in the Amazonian Islands tank successfully without the cichlids digging it up. So they are going to go into these big boy plant pots full of fluorite. So I'm going to try to wedge, I'm going to obviously move these big rocks and wedge one down in here. I'm going to wedge one way over here, and I'll use this big rock. So it'll sort of be connected to the island over there, and then over here it'll sort of be standalone. So this is the final attempt. If this doesn't work, the cichlids win and I will give up on the swords, but hopefully I will be giving them this huge amount of open space that they've been clearly telling me that they want and they don't want me intruding on. So here we go, the last attempt. But I'm gonna make my life easier, and I'm gonna drain this down about halfway, and these guys will just get a free 400-gallon water change. All right, check back soon. Okay, I don't even know where to start. So back from the clash, getting caught back up on the projects, you know, getting back into the swing of things here in the aquarium basement. And as you can see from the thumbnail, yeah, there's a lot of vegetable filtration going on. We've got a lot of bog filters going, a lot of different tests, a lot of different types of plants. We got floaters, we got plants growing out the top of the tank. There's going to be a lot of follow-up on that to see how that all shakes out over time. But based on the experiments I did leading up to making the decision to do it, I have high hopes because things worked out pretty well for the tanks that I did the tests on. And beyond that, we have projects. So this is the kind of the time of year where it's cool to come inside and just work in the basement. It's cooling down outside, so we know we have the step-by-step DIY build coming, and I can tell you exactly what the size of that is going to be now. 315-gallon aquarium, 90-gallon sump. You do the math, 405. It's going to be a nice tank, nice, chunky, interesting, custom DIY tank. And something big coming to the saltwater side of the house. I know, the saltwater videos are few and far between, but this is a big one. It touches every single aquarium on the salt side. It's gonna affect every single one of them. So yeah, big things there, and that is coming pretty soon. And lastly, the double DIY builds. We've been making all kinds of changes back there. There's been even more changes. I've been in a war with the cichlids on those swords. There's been advancements in the war. You're gonna see it all. Let's go right into it. Okay, now I got some room to work, and I figured I'd give you a shot if you ever wondered what it looked like looking down on a tank that's 6 feet wide, 5 feet front to back, and 3 feet deep, when it is, I would say, half full. So obviously you might have the question like, hey, how do you do aquascaping in a tank this big? Well, it's like this. You gotta have a step ladder, and you gotta drain the water down. Makes it a lot easier. I do have the tongs, you know, for just putting in some plants or something. I can use the tongs, but for moving these big rocks, these things are heavy, so you gotta bring the water level down. But kind of gives us a, you know, a unique look at the tank. We don't normally see it like this, and also never before seen augmented the group of Buenos Aires tetra. So there's about 16 of those guys cruising around now. So definitely whenever there's a disturbance of any kind with the tank, all the schooling fish get together in their schools, and of course you can see the red-eye tetras back there, so that is always cool. And as I always say, you know how much I love the contrast between the schooling fish and the big cichlids, so this tank's got that in spades. But all right, let's all right, I'm procrastinating here. Let me get started on getting these swords in here. The final attempt. We will see who wins, me or the cichlids. This is it. Okay, hopefully the 5th time's the charm. We know from the first 4 attempts that the cichlids won the battle, and they uprooted the Amazon sword there and the ones over here. But as you can tell, for the final battle, this is it. Either they uproot these and they win and the swords are coming out, or my defenses will work and the swords are staying in, because as you can tell, I've built up quite the rock defense around this one, as well as it's actually in a pot. It is potted, so if they get that out, like I said, they win the battle. They win the war, I should say, because you know, you can't deny they don't want them, because that's some serious work if they get that out. And this one, same situation. Small pot, rocks everywhere, between a couple big rocks. So again, if the cichlids get that up, I give, then you know, they win. That's about all I could do. Oh, I just noticed the baby Acar, they're not so baby anymore. I mean, they're still small and everything, but they're definitely big enough, you know, they're making it. So there you go. You have some of your offspring living with you now in the 750. So, at any rate, this is the look for now. This has been 24 hours since the swords have been replanted, and like I said, this is the final battle to get these swords to stay in the 750 gallon. So as you can see, I did one to the far right and then one to the far left. So they have all their big open swimming area in the middle that they obviously cherish very much, because they made it very clear that they weren't going to tolerate anybody putting any plants in that space. So hopefully this is actually, maybe this isn't so much a final battle as a compromise, you know. They said, hey, no plants here to here, and I said, okay, how about we put them all the way over here and all the way over here. So, you know, maybe this is it. Maybe this is a compromise. So maybe it's not a war. Maybe we've got a treaty going here that we found something that they can live with and I can live with. So we'll see. Either way, you always have to just wait. Proof's in the pudding with time, so we shall see. But if they do survive in these locations, I think they will look very good once they grow up and help give even more depth to this very deep tank. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And a little better view of the added school of Buenos Aires tetra. I was down to just a few, so I've added a bunch of small ones. I think there was 10 of them. So probably the school of Buenos Aires between the new young ones and the adult ones. Well, and I guess I should include the albino Buenos Aires as well. That should put it at about 16 of them to go with the 40-ish red-eye tetra. So some pretty significant schools in here to offset the larger cichlids. But I'm also looking at another school of tetra. So there's going to be one more school coming. And of course, there's always more plecos and catfish coming. Just kind of work on those stocks as I go. Just, you know, bringing them up over time. And but yeah, as far as the main group of cichlids in here, everyone is looking amazing. Everyone is doing great. Love these angels. Look at this guy. Big boy down there. Beautiful coloration. Plecos are growing up. All these plecos were tiny when I put them in. They're finally getting some size to them. And I hate to say it, but the breeding Acara, they've already got another nest going. So these little guys up here might be getting friends sometime pretty soon. Or I should say brothers or stepsisters, however it works out. But another thing I want to point out with the 750 is the lighting is dialed back. I took all the 100 watt lights off and replaced them with 50s. So we've literally cut the light in half. As you can tell, way too much light hitting the back there on the arch. Yep, dialed it back, and we'll give it some time and we'll see the corrections. And like always with the natural aquariums where you have live plants, live everything, bacteria, all that good stuff, you got to cultivate it, so you got to make changes slowly. You got to give it time to react, give the aquarium time to react and see what the results are, and then adjust accordingly. But definitely everything going in the right direction with the 750. I really, really enjoy this tank. And between this one and the 600, man, this is the best spot in the house. Just kind of looking back and forth, it is amazing. Definitely very, very happy with the double DIY builds. They're not fully dialed in yet, but they are getting there, and I can certainly see the future for these guys. Oh, also the blue-red Colombian tetras. You see them back there. They love hanging under the arch over there, but those are definitely some full-size blue-red Colombian tetra back there, because those guys are probably pushing 5 or 6 years old now. They've been around. They started off in the 40 gallon with the electric blue Jack Dempsey that passed a year ago, and he was 8. So I mean, they weren't in there from the very beginning, but they definitely spent a few years there with them. So they've been around for quite a while, and you can see they're kind of looking old actually. They're getting pretty big, or they're they're slowing down, I should say. They used to be very, very fast swimming around fish, you know, more like the Buenos Aires touch. Now they definitely chill a lot more, so I think they're just in their retirement age back there. But they love the arch, so looks like they're happy in their spot. And there's also a lot of fat cory cats in here, and they've been showing a lot of breeding activity, so we shall see. There's a bunch of them. There's actually 2 different schools of different species, but there's just so many spaces for them to go. You know, it's especially back underneath there. All of those islands in the back, the fish can swim underneath them, so just really prime territory for those guys back there. So it's no surprise they spend a lot of time back there, but they are getting very fat. Some females that are very fat, and they're out here and they're doing a lot of mating dances with the males, so who knows, we might have cory cats in here as well, baby cory cats. That would be awesome. I could definitely use, I mean, this tank could certainly support more cory cats than it has. I think it has a dozen, but you know, it could do a dozen more. All right, I think we pretty much checked up on everything going on in the 750. I should say though, the Geophagus, they show signs of mating as well, so you never know. I think it's a matter of time before these redhead Pothos Geophagus breed. Obviously the angelfish, they do it all the time, so it's probably just a matter of time before they get it right. And one last thing I was going to say with the 750, so pretty much what to look forward to with this aquarium obviously is letting the ecosystem dial in more, and I am looking for some smaller catfish to go in here. Nothing too huge, but nothing, you know, nothing tiny. Maybe something in that 6 to 8 inch range, 6 to 10 inch range catfish to just you know, really add some pop to the tank down low with the cory cats, and then pretty much make sure these swords take, see if the treaty holds, and but I think for now I would like to pivot over to the 600 gallon Asian jungle aquarium and show you the back wood wall and the progress there with that and the new plants. Okay, we're going to do a quick pass through the aquarium main basement, and we're going to take a look at all the tanks that have been affected by vegetable filtration or bog filters. So starting off with the 125, this is one of the ones that's been running the longest, the second longest, with the new plants added to it. So you can see there's Pothos added to the top of the aquarium, and well, one's tripled in size, one's doubled in size. It's been put on there. You can see in the aquarium less and less algae on the leaves of the plants, so that is good. As well as what I pointed out at the beginning, I've been cleaning this glass for, let's say, 6 weeks, and you know, there's some algae on it a little bit. It's not perfect, but it looks pretty good, especially if you're back just watching it, you know, normally. It looks pretty darn clean. And then lastly, we've added peace lilies to the sump, so turning this into a bog filter. And we just had some straggler Pothos. I don't know how that even got there, but it got there, and it's grown quite a bit. It's, in fact, probably growing more than anything else. So for the African cichlid tank, we have double vegetable filters going. We have them growing out the top, we have them in the bog, and so far we're seeing positive results. Let's bump over to the discus aquarium. Okay, as you can see, in a week's time, the hair algae is still there. It hasn't grown any, I don't think. It looks about the same to me. Hasn't gotten worse, hasn't gotten better, but it's only been a week. But there has been a change in a week. So let's start with the water hyacinth. That was pretty beat down. Now, there's tiny little green leaves on top, and that root structure is really, really growing out. As with most plants, the health of the plant is the health of the root, so that's a good sign. Now we get over to the water lettuce, and oh my gosh, are they sprinting out babies everywhere. So the water lettuce is taking off. The roots are getting huge. There's babies popping out everywhere. So the top part of the vegetable filtration on the discus aquarium seems to be kicking off. Down in the sump, we have, again, Pothos and peace lily. And real quick, I want to talk about how I plant the peace lilies. So the Pothos are just suspended with the roots in the water. The peace lilies, I like to give them a little bit of structure. And as you can see, what I've done is I have a pot, and this is how I've done all of them. And the bottom of the pot is lava rock. And that's just to fill up the bottom and give lots of open areas for the plant roots to go down in between the lava rock to keep that flowing nice. You want to keep this oxygenated water flowing through all the time. Bring the nutrients and the oxygen in the aquarium. We know we're getting this atmospheric CO2 because the leaves are out in the air, which is great. We don't have to do CO2 injection. And then at the top, I just use any sort of inert gravel, you know, any sort of inert substrate like gravel just to hold the plant up, because we want the plant out of the water, only the roots down in the water. So they're all done that way. Just any type of gravel, any type of lava rock, it works great. And like I said, gives the plant the structure it needs, but allows the biological processes to work with the nutrients and the oxygenated water running through the roots. So it has only been a short amount of time for the discus aquarium, so we are going to have to give them, give this tank time, you know, to mature with this system and see the results. But the nice thing about it is you don't have to take my word for it, the results. You'll get to see them. It'll be really obvious that hair algae will be there, it won't be there, or there'll be more of it. So we'll see what happens. Man, these guys, they're like the African cichlids to me. Like, whenever I see them, I just have to feed them. Let's give them a little food. Okay, there we go. And I know someone's gonna say, well, that's why you have so much hair algae, you're feeding your fish too much. But this tank was a reset, so I really don't think it's that. But yeah, it's hard to deny these guys. They're a lot of fun. I mean, again, like I always say, they're discus, but they're cichlids, and they act way more like cichlids than I think the reputation discus get. Every time I put my hand in there to do anything, they're, you know, pecking at my arm, swimming. I mean, I could just put my hand, they'll swim right into my hand. They're as, you know, personable as any other cichlid is, so it's no doubt about that. And they are just doing great, getting bigger, coloring up, getting along with all their tank mates. And thankfully now we have an increased school of neons. That whole fiasco with bringing in some from my buddy's tank just that really knocked me back. But I got some more. They've been in here for a few weeks, and they are doing good, as well as some more rummy nose too from the new guys. No casualties, so everyone's right back in there. And you know, this will be the group. You can see the larger ones and the smaller ones. So we'll just let those little guys grow up, and hopefully we'll get this guy back on track. And especially, hopefully, we'll get the filtration system beefed up enough that we can get rid of that hair algae, or at least get it down to be extremely minimal, because it kind of had a cool look when it was minimal. It just doesn't look good to me when it's like stringing off like that. Okay, so I can't show you the Riverbend aquarium right now because there's lots of stuff going on there for another video, but I do want to show you which filtration system, which is wisteria and duckweed. Well, take that back. Duckweed with some wisteria, but as you can see, it is filtering away and growing, growing, growing. The double DIY builds. Where should we start? Let's start with the sticker wall. Let's give a shout out to old Rico and Kenny from ABC, Chattanooga Ed, Skipper's Aquatics, Stephen P. 2003. Well, half of them I met at the Keystone Clash, and half of them were there but didn't have the opportunity, so hopefully I will get to meet them next year. Okay, the 750-gallon Amazonian islands. So as you can see, we have a new approach for the swords. We've protected them with lots and lots of rocks, including really, really big rocks. And has it worked? Well, mostly. So on the left side, it's worked really well. On the right side, man, they still doing their best, but they've knocked some rocks around, and I need to straighten that up so you don't see the basket. But there's new baby leaves, so I think we probably have won the war against these guys. But I don't know. Until I see some giant swords in there, I'm not gonna, you know, count my chickens, you know, because these guys are definitely have a mind of their own, and they have ideas on how their tank should be. So it's a partnership where them and I need to work sorted out, so to speak. You know, we'll see who has the most patience and who's the last man or fish standing. But overall, the 750 is doing great, and it also received the bog filter treatment as well. Now here the lights are lower, so I can't do the peace lily of the pothos. So it's wisteria, duckweed, and red root floaters, as well as the same with the 600-gallon Asian jungle aquarium. All right, Asian jungle aquarium. This is where we're getting the real change. If you look in the back there's a whole lot of driftwood in that back wall. So there's actually a little more to come, and I'm actually building it all the way up, like you see on the left, where it actually sticks out. So it's actually very porous. The fish can swim through there, and it's going to go basically from the ground to the top of the aquarium. And I just ran out of zip ties, or I'd have the rest of it in there. So basically I'm creating that giant structure back there, and it is going to be the future home of some plants that are getting transplanted from the 3,000 gallon over to here. So anyone's been following the channel for a while knows I am in the midst of doing a massive overhaul to the 3,000 gallon. A lot of changes there. So I need to rehome some of my Java Firm and Anubias. They're in the 3,000 gallon. And I'm thinking maybe tied off to a little bit of a lava rock and placed strategically all throughout that giant wooden wall in the back, that could have a cool effect for the Asian jungle aquarium. So gonna give that a shot. So we're gonna get a new home for those plants. And we're going to bring more jungle to the jungle aquarium, and I can tell you right now, just as it is, the fish, they seem to love that wood back there. They're always engaging with it, and I like it. So I have high hopes for how it's going to look with the plants on it. And as you can see, the water, you get the tannins. I added a lot of wood, so there is tannins back in the water. So what I will do before we do the follow-up video on this, once I have a chance to add all those plants, is, I'll do a water change. We'll reduce those tannins, see if we can't get this water nice and clear, and we'll do a follow-up on the 600 gallon. Okay, so what's going on the saltwater side of the house? Well, the 265 behind me is going to get modified quite a bit. There's going to be 100% change with the 265. I have things I want to do with some of the rock and the fish, and there's going to be a redistribution across the tank. So no one's leaving. The fish are just getting moved to other tanks, and the rock is going to be reused. There's some very large pieces in there that I want to add to Predator Bay to build up the scape in Predator Bay, to build it up much higher. There's a certain fish in the 265 that is going to find their way to Predator Bay, but I don't want to give away any hints as to who that might be. And the other fish of the 265 are going to find their way to the 600 reef slope, and actually a few of them that aren't really compatible for the reef slope are actually going to go in the refugium. There's actually going to be a small fish load in the refugium as well. And the 265 is going to get totally revamped. Of course, it's staying saltwater, it's tied into that system, and no, I don't actually know what I want to put in it, but I want to do something different. I feel like this is mostly duplicative of the 600, so I want to open it up and do something completely different. So I don't want a mini Predator Bay, and I don't want a mini 600. I want something unique to this tank. It's prime center in the room, in wall. It's a beautiful tank, 7 feet long, 30 inches tall. It deserves its own personality, something special, so something to look forward to. And of course, last but least, we have the giant rebuild of the 3,000 gallon. That is a beast of a project, so when I don't know when it'll be done, but when I am done, I can tell you it's going to be a huge video. It's going to be a bit of a mini movie, because it is changing 100%. Well, let me take that back. It's not changing 100%. It has massive changes throughout the whole aquarium. So we're talking the filtration. There's upgrades to the filtration. The lighting is using the same lights, but in a different way, and that'll make sense when you see what I've done with it, and it has a very different look to it. The aquascaping is going to be changed pretty much 100%, and we're going to fix the problems we have with the current fish load. Now, all the same fish are in there, no changes there. It's just the problem is when that tank was first built, I was using those large wisteria plants, and then after that swords for my sight breaks for those predators, but they thrashed all that down, so I need new sight breaks that are, can handle having a 3-foot peacock bass, swimming by them. So, because right now there's a little bit more aggression than there should be because of that. So we're going to fix all that. We're going to add something special. Triple S knows what I mean when I say that. I think it's going to be really cool. I think you'll like it. And let me just say that there's a store called Pet World Lawrence who sells a lot of wood, and there's a lot of Etsy vendors who made some extra money this month with me stocking up on supplies for the 3,000 gallon. So it's going to be pretty epic. And then, of course, lastly but not least, we have the DIY build that's starting real soon. So it's going to be, so all in all, it is going to be a very interesting autumn. We have a lot of big projects going on. The 3,000 gallon is a huge project, a huge undertaking. The revamp of that. The step-by-step DIY build, that's also going to be a big one. And then rearranging the saltwater tanks, that's a big one. And then of course we got to figure out something to do with the 265 in wall. So that's going to be big as well. And then of course, I don't know about you, but I'm super curious to see if the results from my 2 test tanks, as far as using the vegetable filtration, if they prove out through the other tanks as well. If they do, they're all going to look really awesome, and I'll be very happy because it's an awesome form of filtration. And then lastly, the 600 gallon. It's going to change a lot, the Asian jungle. There's a lot of plants being moved over from the 3,000 gallon. I think that back wall, and I think the other plants, I think there's just going to be a lot of change with that, all positive. I think it's just going to look pretty wild once it gets going. So all those little fish swimming through all those plants, it's got to be insane. I just wish I had more time because I want to do it all right now. But throughout the fall, we're going to do all of that. So it's going to be cool. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.